With 157 million users worldwide, music streaming service Spotify making its highly anticipated public debut at the NYSE today. For more, we're joined by NYSE Group President Tom Farley, who's with us here at Post 9. Good to see you, Tom.
It's great to be back.
It's going to be exciting today.
Good morning. Yeah, it will be.
Recode today said this will be an abnormal day in the history of the IPO. Is that fair?
Well, it's not an IPO, so let's start there. Yeah, it absolutely will be. We do something called direct listings quite a lot around here. What a direct listing is a company listing their stock without raising capital, but we don't typically do it with a high-flying tech company, exciting company like a Spotify.
Daniel Ek, no interviews except for CBS as far as we know this morning, said that we're not into this for the pomp or the circumstance of it all. How much of going public, how much of the value is the visibility that you get?
I think there's several values to going public. One is raising capital. Another is the visibility. Another is having liquidity for your early shareholders and employees. And a final one is having currency to do acquisitions. Spotify cared less about that branding element and about raising capital because they have a near unlimited access to capital in the private markets. I've been working with them for 2 years. They've never talked about the bell or coming into this building. All they've ever talked about is how can we execute this transaction, this abnormal IPO, as you called it, in a way that's best for their shareholders, both the existing ones as well as the new ones.
So they can check the bottom two boxes, though. They do have a currency they conceivably now then could use. And of course, the key is going to be all those selling shareholders that find themselves today with an opportunity to do that. What are your expectations for how this is going to go today and when we're actually going to see an open?
Well, let me answer them in reverse order, David. First of all, I think it's going to take a while to open. We're in no rush. We've prepared a lot for today, but today is about just kind of rolling the balls out on the court and letting this floor community find the right price, and we're uniquely established in order to do that. So I do think it'll take a while. We need to be patient. It could go beyond noon. It could even go beyond 1 p.m. today, and we're going to take our time and wait until there's a smooth price. On the other hand, in a typical IPO, the night before you hand shares to these institutional investors who know the game, they know the practice. It's the Fidelities, Wellingtons, T. Rowe's. And the next morning they typically will sell some small amount of their allocation to create liquidity. You don't have that in this case. So it may well trade with a little more volatility than the typical IPO. The average IPO is about 10% in terms of the high-low for the day divided by the very first trade of the day. And this could have a little bit more volatility than that 10%.
Well,
given those circumstances.
$8 billion worth of selling shareholders. Now, they're not all going to show up on day one, but they could show up pretty quickly.
I not divulging any kind of inside information or what I see in terms of orders on the book. I can tell you in conversations with with shareholders and employees, they really like this company. This isn't a case where the 91% of the shareholders who could sell today are all going to sell en masse because they think this company has a lot of promise.
How does this change your business, if at all? I mean, if more companies decide to do direct listing as opposed to an IPO and they can afford to not raise capital, but they want an exit for their early investors, what does that do to your fees? What does that do you think, to Wall Street?
It really does nothing for us in terms of fees.
It's the same if you bring a company public through IPO versus direct listing.
Yeah, it's by and large. It's a new listed company and there's a listing fee. I want to point out, I'm not quick to jump to, hey, if this is a success, it's a revolutionary overhaul of the IPO process. Spotify is unique. They're not the only ones, but they're unique in the sense that they do have unlimited access to capital. They do have a worldwide brand and 70 million users. There aren't a whole lot of companies in the world that fit that profile for whom this type of transaction is right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen extremes. Companies that come public and need the cash pretty early, right, in their public life, and in cases like this one.
Yes, yeah, and look, Spotify may well need cash at some point in the future. They have great advisors. I should note Morgan Stanley, the financial advisor today, has been very helpful in the last 24 hours working with us. Their whole banking team, Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Allen and Company. If Spotify needs to go raise money in the future, they can do so.
There's a narrative running through Wall Street that some don't want this to work well, right? The vested interests in advising don't want direct listings to become common. Your point is they won't be common, right?
They likely will not be common. Yeah, I've taken the approach of trust but verify to this exact question that you raised, and I can tell you, The banking team they're working with wants this to be a success and have been working day and night. Are there other skeptics or cynics out there that don't want it to be hugely successful? I don't know.
Just give us a brief overview as to what is going on right now. I mean, are orders coming in and
Sure.
they're trying to match it right now? We have a reference price, which is not an opening price.
Sure. So the exchange set a reference price last night. It was $132, and that was by and large based off of private market trading. Today there are orders coming in. There are buy orders and sell orders, market orders and limit orders. It numbers in the thousands, not the hundreds as of this point.
Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
No.
Okay.
And so at this point, all looks normal.
Okay.
Tom, thanks.
Yep.
We'll be watching
it's
closely.
It's great to be here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun day.
Yeah.
Could take a while. It could be a little tiring, but.
We're on all day. Don't worry. We'll see you soon.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.